Hey y'all, Daniel Gaines here. Just want to give a brief update, let y'all know where things are at currently. So here we go. Court next week for the protective order on Thursday, and they're in an impossible position. See, the officer who is the witness to things, police officer, sheriff's deputy William Scott, he has not been used as a witness by Rachel Montgomery at all because she knows he won't lie for her. So I subpoenaed his ass, and I'm going to make him either attempt to lie for her and call him out on it and ruin his entire career, or he's going to go into court and expose the fact that she intentionally falsified that, and he's known it from the start, and he's allowed the personal feelings of him to cause him to make mistake after mistake in things, which means he's not going to have any immunity. He's fucked, and I'm coming for their careers. So that's where that stands. Court next week, and it's going to be fun. I got some motions I'll have typed up this weekend that'll be ready to go to court next week. I'm not filing them until the day of the hearing whenever I get to the courthouse, and I'll file them right before court hearing is set to start. That way they don't get advance notice of what I'm doing, and based on what the judge does, that'll determine if I even allow him to stay on the case. Because to me, I don't give a fuck if he has to be disqualified and even sued to remove from the case. He's the one, Dorsett, that is going to have to be the one to explain it to the state Supreme Court. Judge Stacy, the presiding judge, is going to have to be the one to explain it to the state Supreme Court. And they're not going to be able to. And I'm very much aware of that. Because the only way they're going to be able to explain it is they tried some bullshit. They tried to violate rights, violate the law, violate their code of conduct, judicial canons, code of ethic, oath of office, and everything else, and got caught. That's the only explanation they're going to be able to give. And they can't give that explanation because then the state Supreme Court's going to want to look into things a little bit more. And these people are fucked if that happens, and they know it. That's why Stacy asked the Supreme Court to bring in an outside judge, so that way it doesn't fall back on anyone in this county. Little does she know, they're playing checkers, I'm playing chess. And I've already got checkmate set up. I just have to move the final piece into position, and it's game over. That's where things stand. See, public servants are predictable. They always do the same thing. At least in my experience, for the almost 21 years I've been dealing with these corrupt fucks, it's always the same. Meanwhile, they can't get ahead of me because there ain't no telling what my loose cannon ass is about to do. See, I filed a federal lawsuit first and foremost when things popped off. Knew what the outcome would be because I know I'm not a proficient legal writer. But there's a reason I did it at the federal level instead of the state level. I'll reveal that in due time. For now, that's going to stay my reason, but they don't understand it's all part of the setup to ensure investigations get opened and launched into all these corrupt motherfuckers. And state officials are not the only targets I have. Hint, hint. So, that brings me to the lawsuit that I filed against Stuckey, Kunzel, Emmons, Dugan, the bailiff, and the court administrator at the municipal court here in Jefferson County. The responses are due tomorrow, the 9th, to my complaint. Tomorrow is a Saturday, as folks know, which means that according to state rules and requirements and laws, their responses are due today, by the time the court closes. I already know what's going to happen if they don't, or what I'm going to do if they don't have a response. I expect them to submit their response to the courts at the close of business today, literally at the last minute, and then not bother sending them to me until, if they even send them to me at all, until next week sometime. I got something for their ass on that one too. However, it's funny because the position I've put them in is their smartest play would be to not respond and let it default in my favor. Even though it's in total, well, I'm not going to get into the amounts right now, but even though the amount is high, whenever you factor in all the counts and everything that they've engaged in and done, their smartest bet would be to let it default in my favor. Because if they respond, I get to set it for a hearing. In that hearing, I get to make my audio recordings in their entirety part of the public record. Which means they can't deny, this judge can't deny, the prosecutors can't deny my allegations. Because the public record and the court record now has the proof beyond any doubt. Words right out of these motherfuckers' mouths. Whereas if they let it go to default and let it default in my favor, they can blame it on an unnamed lawyer for failing to get the documents in time. They can still deny everything that happened. And as of right now, the courts know that I have these audio recordings, but because the judge has yet to have his clerk reach out to get the Dropbox link, the audio recordings are not part of the record. There's a note in the record that states that there are two or three audio recordings, 3 I believe it is, that I submitted for now. More to come. But these audio recordings, the recordings themselves, are not part of the record. They're not transcribed on the record as of now. Whereas if they respond, that's what I get to do, because I'll set it for a hearing. We'll deal with the motions to dismiss via hearing. And part of that hearing is going to entail me playing those audio recordings for the courts. All these people know what those audio recordings contain. How's it going to look for them whenever the FBI, the DOJ, the Andrew Bailey's office, the Attorney General's office, and the state legislature all get a copy of the entire court file? They're going to get copies of every fucking thing. All of it. Office of Inspector General, all of them are getting copies of all of this. How are these people going to justify this to them? See, they almost can't let it go to court. They almost can't allow me to get on the record, because if they do, they're fucked. And I already know the state's going to try and run cover for them and blah, blah, blah. The judge who's assigned is the only judge I voted for in the election. All the rest I just left blank. And the only reason I voted for him is because I want to ensure that he stays on this case, because the judge who they assigned the lawsuit, I'm familiar with. I already know exactly what he's going to do. And let's just say at the very first hearing, within the very first 10 minutes, his ass will be named in the lawsuit too. These people are put in an impossible position. They fucked themselves by going against somebody who knows what they're supposed to do and what they're not allowed to do. And they didn't want to listen because I have a foul fucking mouth. I talk and dress like I'm fucking ghetto as hell. And they don't understand that the reality is I am a highly intelligent individual. I'm just very fucking blunt and very fucking direct. I don't mince words. I don't bite my tongue. I don't sugarcoat shit. I tell you exactly how I fucking think and how I feel. And I don't care if you like it or not. And because of that, they automatically assume, oh, well, this guy got to be an idiot. Can't know anything. Damn sure can't know enough to where we got to worry. I mean, look at the way this guy dresses. Look at the way this guy speaks. Clearly, He's got to be an idiot. And that alone is their undoing. See, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Some of us grew up rough lives. Some of us have had a rough time of life. Some of us have been fucked over by corrupt public servants to the extent we've been forced to learn. Someone like me who retains knowledge better than most people you'll come across, and whose ability to recall said retained knowledge is even better than his ability to retain knowledge, not exactly the person you want to push. Not exactly the person you want to force to learn the law, the case law, the Constitution, things of that nature, judicial canons, codes of conduct, and all that. You don't push that person to learn for 20 plus years, almost 21, and then think that you're going to be able to get away with some bullshit with them. So, we'll see what happens. But just know things are coming due. And don't worry, the protective order hearing, I'll have my body cam on in court that day. I will be recording audio and video recording the entire hearing. And no, Montgomery and Scott, Dorsett doesn't have the authority to stop me. Neither does the presiding judge. They cannot stop me from recording this hearing. Period. And if any of you think you can, come to court and try arguing it against me. I bet you're the one who gets embarrassed and looks fucking stupid on that one. Anyway, I digress. See, they know that there's case law that says the courts are a traditional public forum, the original traditional public forum. They also know that there's case law that says the only way you can stop recording in a courtroom is if it becomes overwhelming to where it's a circus. Me just wearing my body cam, they can't deem that is such. There's also state law which says it's a one-party consent state. However, state law has the caveat for courtrooms. Federal law does not. The First Amendment does not. Presiding judge does not have the authority to issue rules or anything else that violate the law or the Constitution. They damn sure, a state judge, damn sure, even the presiding judge, Stacy, doesn't have the authority to supersede or ignore federal law. Howlett v. Rose says they must comply with federal law because it's the superior authority. So, the entirety of the court of the protective order hearing and everything that comes with it, whether it includes Dorsett being served a lawsuit that day or not, it's going to be recorded. And as soon as I get home, I'm putting the body cam footage on my laptop and then recording it to my phone and then uploading it to YouTube. I might just upload it right from my computer, I don't know. Either way, it will be on YouTube the day of the hearing, that evening. Y'all will get to see exactly what happened in the protective order hearing. You'll get to see me embarrass the fuck out of Montgomery, Scott, and Carl Yates. Y'all are going to see either another judge get served a lawsuit in the video, or you're going to see a judge assess punitive damages against all three of those. And then at the same time, I'm going to request compensatory damages, and then I'm going to request that it be set for a hearing to address civil damages. Can't have it be fraud. Without all of that, the law requires it. All I have to do is file. And they all know this. And see, that's partly why part of me thinks Dorsett was brought in. See, I'm still of two minds with Dorsett. Judge Stacy quickly went to the Supreme Court to bring in an out-of-county judge for a protective order, but yet they're letting a judge in the county deal with the lawsuit. That alone just doesn't sit right, which sounds weird in and of itself, right? Why wouldn't the judge that's dealing with the lawsuit have been assigned a protective order first? If he's able to deal with the lawsuit, he should be able to deal with the protective order, right? Right. So it kind of makes you wonder what the hell's going on with this. So, I think part of it is, well, part of me thinks it's they want to bring in an out-of-county judge. That way Judge Stacy can tell him, look, these public servants got to be hemmed up. It's got to be done. They fucked up. it's just better if nobody in the county does it, because then there's no consequence and no blowback for us come our next election cycle. Whereas Dorsett, doesn't matter what happens in Jefferson County. He's not a Jefferson County judge. So it won't affect him come election time or anything else. So part of me thinks they're bringing him in and telling him, if he proves his case, hem him up, the public servants. But at the same time, I think they've brought in Dorsett to set him up to take the fall, because they know my ultimate goal is to have them all investigated criminally. So part of me thinks they've brought in an outside judge. That way, if he gets sued and it does cause investigations, they look outside of Jefferson County. Well, and that's what the majority of me thinks that they're setting Dorsett up for to be investigated instead of them. What they don't understand is that's not how it's going to work. And what they're also failing to take into account is, if Dorsett gets removed from this case, that also opens the door for me to challenge how they deal with ex partes. Because see, an ex parte is a temporary order. State law says it's only good for 15 days. But if they have to extend it out again to assign a new judge and everything else, it's going to be 3.5, 4 months that a temporary order was put in place for, in violation of state law. And it's the courts and the judges doing it. So that alone makes it actionable. They're not taking that into consideration or account. They think I don't understand this stuff. Boy, the amount of things they think I don't know could fill hundreds of thousands of books. What I actually know is more than them. I've done this longer than most of these people, unfortunately. I've learned more than any of them have. See, judges and attorneys are all required yearly to continue their education. A lot of them don't. They fake it or falsify things. And the ones that do, they're only learning a couple new cases. Whereas me, if the Supreme Court puts out a ruling, doesn't matter what the case is about, I read it. The federal courts, I stay on top of all federal cases, especially anything that pertains to what I'm dealing with or what I might deal with in the future. If there's even a possibility it could ever cross into my life, I read the case. I read hundreds of court cases a year. These people don't even read 20 a year. And I've done this for almost 21 years now. Some years have been a lot more than others. And it's probably even a lot more than that. It's probably, several hundred cases, but probably more than 1,000. There's been some years where it has been. Hell, let's see, 2020, I put into files, 12,370 or something like that, different pieces of case law. And that was just in 1 year's time. Over 12,000 pieces of case law. Now, not all of those I had to read. A lot of them I knew. But there's probably 15, 18% that were learned in 2020 because of the shit that I had to deal with then. So, these people are, what's a good way to put it? They're going up against somebody who's as well, if not more so, educated than they are in this area. And see, their fatal flaw is in regards to that. They think that because I don't have a piece of paper, I can't be smart, I can't know anything. Because while they're all arrogant enough and their hubris leads them to believe if you don't have a college degree, a piece of paper saying you know this stuff, you can't possibly know it. They make the law so complicated and use such fucking foolish terms that their hubris leads them to believe Well, if you didn't go to law school and get trained in this, there's no way you can understand it as a regular person. That's where they'd be wrong. There's a reason Judge Jimmy Edwards, in his letter of recommendation, put my understanding of law is incredible. There's a reason he put in letter of recommendation, I'm a brilliant student. There's a reason he offered to do anything he could to get me to go to law school, including paying for it, because my knowledge and understanding of law was just incredible for somebody who's never gone to law school. Jimmy Edwards is a nationally recognized expert on juveniles. He was an alternate judge for the Missouri Supreme Court. He was Chief Circuit Court Judge for the city of St. Louis for a number of years and was on the bench for over 20 years. Judges don't write letters of recommendation. Jimmy Edwards wrote me too. So, and Carl Yates, if he would be honest, he'd tell these people, you're in an uphill battle with this guy. Chances are he knows just as much, if not more than you, and he's going to be able to use it all against you in court. If Carl Yates was honest, he'd tell these people, despite what you might think, this guy's insanely intelligent, and he really does understand this shit. He really does know the law and understand it better than most people who's never gone to law school. That's what Carl Yates would have to admit if he was honest. He's not. So I doubt he's warned them of this. But then again, he also very well could have, and that's why Judge Stacy said, yeah, let's just go ahead and kick this out to a different county and let a judge from that county deal with it so it doesn't come back on us. I'll find out Thursday. William Scott, a message directly for you. Don't forget, you got court next week. I'll see you there, bud. Montgomery's going to have a hard time with this. Her smartest play would be to not show up. Let me get the default judgment against her for the damages. Because she shows up, Dorsett gets included in the lawsuit if she doesn't face criminal charges for the falsified documents. She had the opportunity to correct the perjury. She refused. She even put in a new filing, I accuse her of committing perjury and call her a felon. So she acknowledges and admits that I've called her out for the perjury. Which means there is no way for her to walk it back now and avoid a perjury charge. So she shows up. Dorsett is either getting sued or he's going to kick it over to the prosecutor's office for them to proceed with either bringing criminal charges against her or not. That'll be on the prosecutors. However, seeing as the prosecutor's office brought criminal charges against me for an unlawful trespass, they're going to get sued or have more things added to the suit if they don't go after her for the perjury, for the felony. Because it's a blatant 14th Amendment violation if they don't. And I know this. And the thing of it is, they know this. I tried to warn these stupid fucks. And yeah, I know they're going to try and use all my videos against me. Good luck. I'll embarrass them on that too. See, my intent is to ensnare as many corrupt actors as possible in the hopes of forcing investigations to cost all these people their reputations, careers, and possibly even freedom if I can. Because, well, corrupt people deserve to be in trouble for it. They deserve jail time for it. They actually deserve the gallows, but that's not an option anymore, unfortunately. So, jail or removal, I'm fine either way. They can't be corrupt officials if they're no longer allowed to be public officials, public servants. So, still accountability. And that's the goal I'm after. We'll see what happens. But don't worry, y'all will see the entire video of the court hearing. Y'all will know. And everything Dorsett does, he'll be called out on. And Dorsett, let's go ahead and establish one thing now, bud. I'll go into that courtroom and show you respect initially. The second you violate a law, violate my rights, violate your code of conduct, your code of ethics, or your oath of office, I no longer show you any fucking respect. I don't have respect for the judiciary. I've never met a judge in a courtroom except Jimmy Edwards, and I wasn't before him. I just got to observe him from the bench. But he's the only judge I met that doesn't go out of his way to intentionally deprive people of their rights. So, Dorsett, let's get something clear now. I don't waive any rights. When I go in there and my language is the same as it is in these videos, and I use the word fuck or anything else, you'll be warned the first time that you open your mouth about it that the First Amendment allows me to. I'll even tell you, show me one law or one piece of case law that says my First Amendment rights are restricted because I'm in court, and I'll comply. Since we both know you won't be able to show either of those things, here's how it's going to go. Threaten me with contempt. Go ahead. I'll stand up, put my hands behind my back, and tell you to go ahead and arrest me, because the reality is the second you fucking sanction me, fine me, hold me in contempt, punish me in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you entitle me to a hearing, bud. And at that hearing, you're my accuser, which means you have to take the stand and take questions from me. And I get to question you about deprivation of rights, the violation of your oath of office, your code of conduct, your judicial canons, and judicial bias. Oh yes, please be stupid enough to allow me to put you under oath. That's where things stand for you, Dorsett. When pushed, I'm an asshole, and I admit it. Simple as that. And y'all have pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Well, I'm no longer an asshole. Y'all have brought the dick out of me. Y'all have made me pass the asshole stage to being a straight fucking dick. And as such, everybody's gonna feel it. I've got nothing for any of yous but a big fat fuck you. I have no respect for any of you motherfuckers. No respect for the judiciary. I think you're all corrupt pieces of shit that all need the fucking gallows. I think if a revolution breaks out in this country, the judges need to be the one that face the most scrutiny. And maybe 10 judges in the nation over would be spared, but I doubt it'd even be that high. Because y'all are the problem. And the more y'all push, the more opportunity you give me to prove that on the record. See, y'all think it's just going to be about this shit whenever it gets into court. Oh, no. Contraire, mon frere. See, in court, something I'm not putting in documents with intent is the RICO violations y'all are guilty of. Y'all acting as Article 3 judges when you're not Article 3 judges. Y'all doing things to ensure the county and state, the county you're from and the state benefit financially by denying people rights, violating the law, and everything else. And I've got the documents, I've got the evidence, I've got the proof. I just need the day in court. I just need on the record to expose it. And that's my intent. So, fuck around and find out. It only goes one of a few ways, and all of which end in my favor, one way or another. But I won't go into too much here on that. For time purposes, I'll end this video. But that's where things stand. So y'all have a good day. Peace.